Hello everyone, my name is Millicent Pararinyatwa, a third year law student at Tebet Chapel Law School. I am presenting on the topic Globalization and National Legal System under Jurisprudence. The module is being facilitated by Mr. Maposa. So I will start on by defining what is globalization and what is national legal system, and go on to show how globalization has affected the branches of national legal system, and the branches includes natural law, cyber law, intellectual property law, and the constitution. So national legal system are generally based on four basic systems, which are religious law, common law, customary law, and civil law. A legal system includes rules, procedures, and institutions by which a public initiatives and private endeavors can be carried out through legitimate means. And then globalization is the process of the formation of a new global system or of legal norms that organize and ensure global intergovernmental interaction in various areas of modern society, in which international law, national law, and the law of international business associations are in a state of close interconnection. The term globalization of law also refers to a degree to which the whole world lives under a single set of legal rules. The development of the legal society is at the core of a fundamental change that has been brought in national legal system pertaining to the field of law. The world has been turned into a global village such that legal doctrines and decisions are diffusing from one country to another, thereby influencing the pattern and shape. One. The world has been turned into a global village such that legal doctrines and decisions are diffusing from one country to another, thereby influencing the pattern and shape of laws in national legal system of states. So I will go on to explain globalization and the constitution. Sure. So I'm moving on to explain globalization and the constitution. So it is important to note that the constitution is the important component of any national legal system. Then Lancaster House Constitution was amended 19 times as a result for the need to ensure that provisions of the Constitution are in line with the laws of other civilized nations. The Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment number 20 of 2013 is a new document which is progressive in that it speaks to the rights and sentiments as demanded by the global legal village. The Constitution was written in such a way that it complies to the basic tenets, justice, and equality as stipulated in international conventions, treaties, and in multilateral institutions like the United Nations. There are provisions which globalize the application of international laws in Zimbabwe. It is given that Zimbabwe must apply foreign law, treaties, international conventions which have been signed and ratified by the country. Furthermore, when interpreting the law, the courts must apply foreign law and conventions in order to develop common law. Section 326 and 327 cements the application of monism and dualism in that Section 326 provides for the direct application of customary international law, while list Section 327 states that international conventions and treaties must be signed and domesticated for them to be part of our domestic law. Therefore, the Constitution itself has been heavily globalized based on the above provisions. So I'm going on to talk about globalization and intellectual property law. Globalization of law led to the development of new departments and categories of law which were never seen before. One of such interesting category is intellectual property law, which is developing in Zimbabwe as a result of globalization. Philippid has posited that intellectual property rights have become ubiquitous in the current debate and have emerged as the key issue of global innovation policy. This is a positive development as there is need to protect traditional knowledge system of and other innovations in Zimbabwe through the use of patents, copyrights, and trademarks. This shows that intellectual property right has been developed through globalization. I will go on to explain how globalization has affected the rule of law. Globalization and the rule of law. This is very important aspect of governance, which has been propelled by globalization. Governments have been argued to respect the rule of law and also the separation of power as the basic tenets of domestic democracy. Therefore, there must be equality of all people before the law and the absence of arbitrary exercise of power in a democratic society. All these are the work of globalization. The traditional view of rule of law was propounded by A.V. Dice, denotes three main things, that is equality of all people before the law, the absence of arbitrary use of power, and that the court decision must emanate from precedents. However, it has been argued that globalization has been reconceptualized in a global environment such that the above principles proposed by DICE have been modified and amended to encompass the universality of the law. Moving on, I will go on to explain globalization and human rights and women rights. Feminism and gender sensitively led to jurisprudence on women's rights, while human rights became an aspect of globalization as activists began to link up in advocating for the respect of.
One.
So the next issue I'm going to address is globalization and commercial law. The law of contract and commercial law have been altered in terms of their applicability and extent of common law principles of pacta sunt servanda, freedom of contract, and sanctity of contracts. Smith says that the law of contract and commercial law have been globalized through regional blocs like the European Union as the most principle of law among its members applicable amongst member states are one and the same. Anija researched on specific performance and argued that the law of specific performance have been globalized with the law of Israel as a case study. The next topic I'm going to look at is how globalization is affected environment. Globalization is an effect on environmental laws in national legal system. The rapid pace of economic integration has led to interlinking of world's markets and economies, demanding synchronization of national policies on issues to do with the environmental. Principles of environmental law have been shaped by principles of international environmental law, reflecting the applicability of globalization on the law. Applicable amongst member states are one. and the same. Anija researched on specific performance and argued that the law of specific performance have been globalized with the law of Israel as a case study. The next topic I'm going to look at is how globalization has affected environmental law. So I'm moving on to talk on globalization and cyber law. Technology has necessitated globalization, while this globalization has also necessitated the spread of technology. Therefore, the use of computer devices, phones, on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp has led to malpractices and offenses on computer platforms. No doubt that ICT has pushed the growth of globalization, but the combination of globalization and ICT has given the birth of cybercrime. In Zimbabwe, the cybersecurity law was put in place recently in order to regulate social media platforms. This is as a result of globalization. The following are examples of cases which shows how globalization has influenced the national legal system. Muduri and Topodzi versus Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. In the above case, the court raised the age of marriage to 18 years in line with international conventions signed by the Community of Nations. The applicable international conventions was CEDAW and the treaties like the International Covenant on Civil, Economic and Natural Rights. This confirms to our legal system conforming to globalization. The other case is S versus Nokwanyane, comparative law in South Africa, where the death penalty was abolished as it was inhuman and did not correspond to international conventions. Article of International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights prohibits cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment.